Hi, Baron. Hi, honey. So today I'm in with Baron, and I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about his story. So Baron here, sorry, let me let the barking stop for a minute. So Baron here used to belong to Renee, who was our former shelter manager. And Renee, hold on, let me turn up the brightness a little bit, it's pretty dark. Okay, so Baron here used to belong to Renee, our former shelter manager, before her passing. And Baron's been with us for a few years. He was recently involved in a fight in his section. One of the other dogs, we don't know what kicked off exactly, but anyway, he's up here for treatment. So Baron is not a dog that's available for adoption because he has a history of being pretty protective and guarding his space. So we can't safely send him out to another country or to a regular adopter. So he's going to be spending his remaining years here with us. So I am going to try and do some socialization and stuff with him while he's up here. Might as well, kill two birds with one stone, as the saying goes. And I've been trying to encourage the staff and vets and stuff to get in here with him a little bit every day and just kind of pet him and interact with him in a non-medical or cleaning capacity, just to get him to trust us a bit more, because I need everyone to be comfortable with each and every dog we have at the shelter. This allows us to be able to treat them properly and to interact with them when it's time for vaccines and spot-on treatments and other stuff. There's really no room in our facility for dogs that we can't interact with or dogs that we can't handle. But yeah, Baron's a good boy. Oh, Bubba. Yes, such a nice boy. I think a lot of the fear that people have of Baron comes mostly from his size, and that there's not actually as many behavioral issues as we're led to believe. But yeah, big dogs in general won't be candidates to send to other countries. The shipping costs are prohibitive, and then also things like, the fact that somebody cut his ears is going to be a problem for countries like the UK. Yeah, I'm sorry, bud. But yeah, we'll do the best we can to give him a good life here at the shelter. Dogs that we have here are going to be these massive breeds, ones that were historically used for guarding livestock, and the lifestyle that they were bred for just doesn't really exist so much anymore in our modern world. And yet the dogs, due to human interference and domestication, they exist in a world that's not really built for them, which is unfortunate. So many shepherd breeds are without a home because they're not suitable for regular homes. So I get questions and concerns sometimes about, well, we always see the same dogs in each video, and some of that just boils down to how much time I have available to do social media. And because I have to multitask, there are only so many dogs that I can trust to stay in the office when I'm not physically in there with them. And I don't spend my whole day in the office. Frequently it'll only be about, an hour out of a whole shift that I'm physically in the office doing accounting or, organizing things. And then the rest of my time I'm bouncing back and forth between the clinic and the sections or outside. And because we store medical equipment and paperwork and all sorts of stuff in the office, I can't just cut any dog loose in there when I'm not there, because they will destroy things, and we can't afford to have that happen. So the dogs that you see in the office frequently with me are going to be ones where, like Gara's in there right now, and I could leave him in there for the entire day unattended and he won't touch anything. So he just hangs out in there. It's one less dog I have to worry about outside, and then I get to interact with him a little bit throughout the day. And when I have dogs that are friendly with him that also are good in the office, sometimes I'll bring them in there as well. And then as dogs get adopted, my office pals, then I replace them with the next dog that needs extra socialization or that I can trust in the office. And also, you'll see me interacting with the same dogs over and over again because those are the dogs that desperately need it. every single dog we have here needs to be interacted with, but I cannot go out and interact with the outside dogs. Otherwise, every single time I go out there, they're going to anticipate me giving them attention, and then they're going to start ripping each other apart out there, jumping all over me, fighting for attention, and it's just not safe. So I do have to limit it to dogs that that are in smaller groups, so the ones I have inside the shelter. That doesn't mean that I ignore or slap away, you know, the dogs outside. I just, when I'm walking around out there, I need to be able to check the dogs for wounds and other things without every dog out there running up and wanting attention. But yeah, we still have a lot of dogs that get care out there, and they do need to be human friendly, but we don't want them so friendly that they think that every human that comes up can be trusted, because outside that is not the case. Inside the shelter, there's no reason that these dogs can't be handled or why they should be afraid of people. But outside the shelter, I would prefer that they remain skeptical of people that come up, and just a little bit wary, because people frequently do come up and try to injure them or try to capture them, to take them to local farms or to use for fighting or whatever they use them for out there. I really don't know. And that's just, I mean, we have an adoption program so that people can adopt dogs, but we don't allow people to just come up and take dogs, because we have to ensure that they're being taken to good places that are better than here at the shelter. But yeah, even if I don't constantly post videos of every single dog, you know, getting attention or getting a lot of coverage on social media, it doesn't mean that they don't exist or that they're not being cared for. Another thing that I have to give consideration to when I'm doing social media videos with the dogs is that I can't give any attention to the camera or talk about things or even really have my phone out with some of the dogs, because they are so overly excited that when my phone comes out, they knock it out of my hands, they try to bite it, you know, they're tipping their water bowls over and flinging stuff, and it's just, I need to give my full attention to that dog. With dogs like Baron that are, you know, generally laid back, I can sit in the kennel with him, you know, just be around him while also doing some filming. But yeah, I mean, I expect some criticism from people of, oh, you know, why the same dogs in each video, but there's a good reason for it, and none of those reasons have to do with me not wanting to interact with the dogs or being lazy or having favorites. I mean, we all have animals or other humans that we like to interact with on a regular basis because it feels comfortable for us. But I don't ignore dogs based on their personalities. It's the whole circumstance that I have to look at. And even in the main sections, like when I'm walking through the shelter, you know, I might be able to pat a dog on the head, but I'm not, and you know, and touch it a little bit, but I can't stop and give it individual attention. A couple of years ago, I'll tell you a little story about that kind of supports what I'm saying. So a few years ago, there was a dog named Cassie in section 3, and you know, I thought I was doing the right thing when I first started here, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go out all the time, and I'm going to give the dogs treats, and I'm going to pet each dog, like really focus with them. And I get, you know, through section 1, section 2, no problems. I get to section 3, I've given every dog, you know, a little milk bone and a pat on the head. And then there's one dog that doesn't come up to me, and she's kind of just looking at me, a little nervous, from one of the kennels. And I was like, oh, come here, baby, come here, cutie. And I have a treat in my hand, and I'm going towards her, and all of the other dogs just wigged out in the section and went after her. I was by myself. One dog grabbed her, you know, on the neck, and once they started dragging her, all the other dogs went in attacking her, and that dog ended up dying from her wounds. Like she was bleeding out, and we had to euthanize her. And years later, I still remember her name, and I still, like, the sounds and stuff are fresh in my mind. And it's a constant reminder of that I need to be mindful, I need to be cautious, and I need to be thoughtful in my interactions with the dogs. So I need to balance giving them what they need with also not putting them at risk. So sometimes it's for a dog's best interest that I don't go into the section and really mess around with them. An example of that is we have a section 2B where we have a black dog named Riley, who is a little, you know, skittish around humans. But every time I go in there, I just desperately want to pet him. And sometimes I do have to touch him. We have to touch him for vaccines or for spot-on treatments to check his ears weekly. But I need to make sure that there's at least 1 or 2 other people in the section with me. And because we're chronically short-staffed, I can't always commandeer someone from their other job and take them with me into the section. So when I go in there by myself, I don't go over and give him belly rubs or force myself, you know, on him, because the other dogs will attack him. And this, I mean, people that have multiple dogs in their house, they'll understand what I'm saying, that sometimes your dogs will haul off and fight with each other out of jealousy, because they all want, you're a resource to them, right? Your attention is a resource, and it's in their nature to guard that resource, to grab it for themselves. My own dogs will do this at home between just 2 animals. I get home from work, they're excited, they're jumping on me. I ignore them until they've had a few minutes to settle down, because if I were to reach down and touch one or the other, they would start fighting amongst themselves. So some of these things, you know, I might consider them common sense, but what's common for me is not common for other people. And so I thought I'd give you guys an explanation of kind of the dynamics out here, so that you could understand why I don't have the ability to post, you know, snuggle videos and brushing videos and stuff with each and every dog. Again, doesn't mean that they're not getting attention ever, or that they're not getting brushed, but sometimes they either need my full attention and I cannot take video, or I need other people with me, so the videos are going to be less frequent, or that dog's going to be featured less frequently.